the group of our researchers, which are from the Traumatic Stress Clinic, UNSW, and Brain Dynamics Centre, as well as clinicians from the University of Sydney Western Clinical School, at Westmead Institute of Medical Research, we decided to look at healthy adults and PTSD adults who've experienced either no or minimal levels of childhood interpersonal trauma exposure, as well as those who have experienced high levels or multiple types of childhood interpersonal trauma exposure. So what we did is we examined a face-specific ERP component called the N170, which occurs about 170 milliseconds in the posterior part of the brain in response to presentation of a face. And that happens pretty automatically, even without conscious awareness. So we had our group of participants, and we had them viewing a series of emotion faces, fearful, angry, and happy, in both contexts of either under the threshold for conscious awareness, as well as while they were fully conscious and aware of the actual emotion faces. And what we found in comparing the N170 responses between the healthy and the PTSD groups, with and without significant levels of childhood interpersonal trauma, was that in fact both PTSD and childhood interpersonal trauma are associated with dampening in the automatic N170 response to emotion faces, regardless of the emotional expression. Now, what this suggests is that high levels of childhood interpersonal trauma and PTSD might have an additive effect on that dampened cortical processing of emotional stimuli. It also suggests that childhood interpersonal trauma could perhaps increase the vulnerability of individuals to developing PTSD via that route of dampened higher cortical processing in response to any salient emotional stimuli. A further question that is raised by our finding is whether or not this dampened early and automatic cortical response to emotional stimuli across emotion conditions, whether it actually possibly relates to also the cognitive and emotionally avoidant type responses we see that's very characteristic of PTSD, but we also see present in individuals who've had high exposure to childhood interpersonal trauma. And that would be the next step in this research. Thank you.